Hi, so as you may know, I spent last week in India in a darkness retreat, so just thought I'd shoot a quick video just sharing the journey and some of the key insights from this experience. So 7 days, 24 hours a day, totally in the darkness. It's pretty phenomenal experience. Thing about the darkness is that once you start getting used to it, which does take some getting used to be fair, and you don't know what time of day it is, whether it's morning or night, whether you're asleep or awake at times, where you are. But the beauty is that you're totally lost and in that moment, but also present and also surrendered. So it's quite a cool place to be, and the more you absorb yourself in it, the more you understand that connection more, and you also appreciate that unconditional love that the darkness can provide. And I also experience that sense of there's just no judgment, and it's unconditional love. So with light and being around and seeing other people interacting and getting bombarded by media, Facebook, whatever, it's a case of you're always getting these opinions pushed backwards and forwards, and you're, whether you're a judgmental person or not, or whether you think you are or not, sometimes there is that bit there, but purely in that darkness, purely in isolation as such, it was just an overwhelming experience. And as I say, it's you just really feel that love and that vibration from that. So I found that quite a phenomenal thing, and it was just so beautiful. The practicalities, again, takes a little bit of getting used to. So it's having to go to the toilet in the dark, get dressed in the dark, have a shower in the dark, eat in the dark, trying to put your toothpaste on your toothbrush in the dark, trying to judge that. It's fun. It's fun. I loved it. And again, just within a few days, it was quite easy to get them things navigated. Where we were in India, it's a lovely resort as such that we was on, retreat centre, and we had our accommodation block which was totally blacked out for us to sleep in at night time, and then there was a hall which would take 2 or 3 minutes to walk without a blindfold, but because we was all blindfolded and was walking with our shoulders on each other's with our hands on each other's shoulders, like a bit of a chain gang kind of thing going on. It took 5 minutes to navigate ourselves to this hallway. So the hallway, there was 14 people on the retreat, and we all had our separated little areas with a mattress there and blanket and pillow, basically. Bottle of water, and it was marked with some very thin foaming to actually mark out the perimeters. So I suppose a little bit like a jail cell. It was 6 by 2, not that I've been to jail, but 6 by 2, and that was your little living quarters throughout the day. And as I mentioned about the time of the day, I think it was sort of like 5:30 in the morning, and we probably left about 8 o'clock at night in this hall. And by the time we'd actually retired back to our accommodation block, it really was put yourself to bed and in the dark, and get up in the morning and spend the following day in the dark. During the day, lots of activities happening, so we'd typically start the day off with a good meditation or two and yoga in the dark, which was fun, yoga in the dark. But so that lasted maybe an hour and a half or so, and then we'd have breakfast, further meditations, bit of time out where there's reflection, lunch, and in the afternoon we do the Osho, I think it's like the shaking, where it's maybe a quarter of an hour really shaking it all out, and then 15 minutes of just like freestyle dancing to the music, and then another bit of a process in that. So I think that lasted about 45 minutes, another bit of a break, and there was this beautiful chant that was doing, and that really raised vibration. It was beautiful singing. And there was just all sorts that happened during the day, which made it quite effortless and easy to actually go through the process. The meals there was fun. They came in like little plastic Tupperware, and there was 4 little sections, so it was a case of put your finger in and, oh, that's the sweet, so I'll try and put that one there so I can concentrate on these 3 first. It was good fun. And for some reason on the night time we seemed to have 2 little boxes with soup in, so it was easy to actually try and pull them out and drink it, as opposed to trying to use a spoon and miss your mouth. I haven't actually done my washing yet, so it'll be interesting to see how many t-shirts and things like that have stains on, but yeah, I'll do that later on today. So what else happened? The last 48 hours, there was interesting, because not only was we in the darkness, we also had more or less 48 hours of fasting and 48 hours of silence as well. The beautiful thing, though, is that Sashi Kirby, brilliant facilitators, I think they're very well renowned in as tantra teachers and in Daoism. So there was quite a lot of those elements as well within the in the retreat. However, Sashi, she gave us something to contemplate on the evening before the fasting and silence retreat. Before the silence and fasting element started. So we was told to contemplate along the lines of, if we was to die, what are those things that we needed to let go of? What are those areas that we need to give forgiveness to? And there's other elements as well that she mentioned, but going to bed on that first night after she'd mentioned that, knowing that for 48 hours coming it was fasting and silence, and still in the dark, of course, that all this was going to be processing. I just found that really awesome, because I come across The Art of Dying, the actual book, and also I'm aware that, and I was very keen to actually, and maybe still may do, I think a 2 or 3 day course in March time, all to do with the art of dying. So it really is about being able to process, what have you done in this life, what has been holding yourself back, what have you been too attached to, what kind of barriers have you put up yourself, and who haven't you forgiven and been able to move on from. So for me, in this retreat, not knowing that this was going to be happening was a total bonus. I really love that part of it, and that's been a huge growth for me. I sort of like set intentions of what I wanted to achieve, knowing and doing some reading prior, but again, I was a bit surrendered as to what may come up. So so this particular Art of Dying, that was quite cool. Other ones was the fact that I'm aware that for the past three and a bit years or so, I've been from pretty much one retreat to another, and workshops here, and putting myself through all different spiritual training courses and personal development, and having healings and all this kind of stuff done. And really, I've spent time to sort of like take a bit of time out to actually process it properly, to get it all balanced and harmonised, and ultimately integrate all this, what I've done. And I'd always known that something like a bit of a silent retreat would have been a cool thing to do, but this darkness retreat was a case of, if I want to do something, I might as well do it really hardcore and jump in and absorb myself in it. So it was a beautiful time to actually do a lot of processing. And not only was that happening, but from the first day, I was having lucid dreams, and it was presenting situations, and it was like it was in real life. And sometimes it was a case of I was having 2 or 3 lucid dreams at the same time, very similar to the ayahuasca experience that I did last year. And I noticed one time I was asking myself a question, and then realised that I'd actually just had a lucid dream about it. It was just so synchronistic, so quick, the way that things had happened. He was also able to dream whilst in being awake, if that makes sense, because it's 24 hours a day in the dark. That ability sort of like kicked in. I think it was just the natural DMT coming through. That was pretty phenomenal. So there's a lot of clarity came from being in the dark. thoroughly enjoyed that. Another part was I was aware that there would have been certain activations, so things like the third eye opening further and further deepening into the Kundalini awakenings. So I experiences with both of them in there. Again, pretty much from night one, I could feel my third eye flickering away, bright lights, pulsing, pulse. And it came to a stage where pitch black, but yet I could sort of like visually see like outlines of doors, or be able to walk over to where the drinks were and be able to say, okay, I'm tuned in, oh yeah, it's here, and pick it up straight up. Don't know how I did that. I mean, yes, the beauty is that I was very present and in that time, but other times if I was distracted, yes, I could walk into a wall or trip over something, but the majority of the time, if I was switched on and I was in that flow, it really did seem quite effortless. I could also, from the meditations, I could really feel the Kundalini activations. That was powerful, and the vibration that came from that. On two of the mornings, we did heart chakra meditations. I don't think I got that much from it whilst it was happening. But then I'd always, or on these two occasions, it'd be then 3 or 4 hours later, poof, a great big shift would happen. So obviously something was happening there, and that was, wow, really heartfelt and beautiful experience. So yeah, lots happened. I'm still processing as I'm speaking, and deep breath. I did enjoy it. Coming out of the retreat, we was given our sunglasses back, and prior to going in, we obviously put our sunglasses into an envelope with our names on it, so we could be handed them. And we came out the dark on an evening, so there was obviously the stars and the moon and street lighting off in the background. So we took our big blindfolds off, and with our eyes closed, put our sunglasses on, and we slowly opened our eyes. The first thing that hits us all, and yeah, I think the majority of the group commented on it, is the fact that our envelopes was in front of us, and it was the white glaring off. Oh, it was quite a burn in the back of the eyes. But slowly we got used to it, and sat with it for 5 minutes or so, just getting focused. And it's a bit trippy as well, because he's looking around going, wow, trees and wow, grass, and you just haven't seen these things for a while. We then was encouraged to get up and walk around. Well, because excuse me, I forget the terms or parts of the brain that work with these functions, but because it's been switched off for the week, our normal walking behaviour, we then had to sort of re-establish how to walk in consciously more, and with using our eyes, because we hadn't been doing that. It really did take a good few hours for us to find our feet, to actually focus our vision, and with it still being in the dark as such, it was a good way for us to then walk, sleep it off, and then wake up in the morning a bit more acclimatized to it. We then on that final morning, we did do further meditations back in the dark before coming out in the afternoon. And I think it was later on in that afternoon, so a good 3 or 4 hours afterwards in the afternoon, I was in a taxi, and I went to do something, and I thought, oh, fingers, I haven't seen fingers for a while. And it's just all these little crazy things that you miss. I don't know why I'm sharing that particular example, but it was just, for me, it was so fascinating. I haven't seen my fingers for ages. Yeah, they're still here. I think being in the dark, you're aware that you do have a body, but because you're part of something bigger, or part of that oneness more, you sometimes forget that you have a body, and so to come back and notice that you are still here and you're in this human form, that was quite cool. So yeah, I can't think of anything else to share. I'm sure I will elaborate more, and maybe put a few comments of other things that was certain aha moments for me. But as I say, I just thought I'd share this video. Let people know I'm alive, although technically I've been reborn quite a few times whilst there. Which was a beautiful thing. We also on a final night, after that afternoon, being back in the light, we then had a few hours in a sweat lodge in the darkness as such, besides sort of the burning coals. But that was a really beautiful way to have a bit of that contrast of what we've been through, which is quite surreal, to then sort of do something else quite surreal whilst being there. And I found that a really beautiful part of it. There's a few days after that I obviously stayed in the resort just to make sure that I was properly acclimatised to things before returning back home. And there's quite a few different healers and other things happening. So I absorbed myself in a few of the things there, and it was just a beautiful place. So I'd recommend it to anybody. I think out of all the people, probably about 70% of them had already experienced ayahuasca. So I'm not saying do ayahuasca first and then do this. I mean, it might be a case of, you know, experience them both or whatever. But for me, with all the stuff that I've been going through over the last few years, and on this bit of fast track on with this spiritual growth and personal development and all the things that I've been absorbed in, it was a good consolidation. It was good integration. I'd like to thank again Kobe and Sashi and everybody there who's on the retreat, and obviously the resort itself. Just such an awesome experience. So thank you. Namaste, Satnam, and adios. Bye. Thanks.